Welcome to Hobby Clubhouse with a review of the Mr. Hobby Gundam Marker EX line from GSI Creos. The Gundam Marker EX line got its most recent releases, which are the Luminous Metallic Green and the Heavy Gun Metallic in October 2020, bringing the current lineup of EX markers up to 6 colors. The EX line is supposed to be new and improved over the standard line, and it's supposed to have a thicker paint that covers surfaces better, and it should also be less prone to streaking, because if you've ever used Gundam markers, you know that it's really impossible to get a coat of paint evenly onto larger surfaces. So the EX line is supposed to make that a little bit better. So the current colors in the EX line are the following in order of their release: New White, Shine Silver, Royal Metallic Red, Cosmo Metallic Blue, Luminous Metallic Green, and then Heavy Gun Metallic. And for our review, we're going to bring in their standard Gundam marker counterparts: Gundam White, Gundam Silver, Gundam Metallic Red, Gundam Metallic Blue, Gundam Metallic Green, and then Gundam Gun Metallic. But if you're familiar with Gundam markers, you're gonna think, wait, Gun Metallic? There's no Gun Metallic color in the standard release. Oh, but there is. And the only way to get this is from this 6 marker pack. And yes, I did just get this pack just for the gunmetal marker for this review. There are many markers and many colors locked behind packs just like this, which I find frankly quite strange. Many modelers test the waters with painting with Gundam markers, and giving them access to all the colors would help them produce better models at an earlier stage, which is really helpful. For this review, there's going to be one more set of markers we're going to bring in, and those are the pearl colors with glitter, and the matching colors are G Glitter Pearl Silver, G Glitter Pearl Red, G Glitter Pearl Blue, and G Glitter Pearl Green. So here's where things took a strange turn. With all the markers ready, I cut some strips of styrene so I could color in some samples of each marker to show everyone in the review side by side. So off I went and I colored each strip. But when I tried to show them in front of the camera, they looked like this. They were dull and they looked really ugly, and it was impossible to see any of the metallic texture and sheen. I looked for a culprit. I checked the lighting, I examined my camera settings and angles, and I added a layer of paint, and nothing seemed to work. And in the end, I finally figured out something I did not know before. It turns out all these metallic colors do their best work on a curved surface, like on a plastic spoon, which many people use to test colors anyway. I mean, maybe this is common knowledge and I'm just dumb, but I definitely learned something new here, and I think it's helpful to know that when you're picking out a kit for doing metallic colors. So a kit like the Sinanju or Zaku may do a little bit better than a Gundam with a lot of flat surfaces. But anyway, off I went to correct course, and here are the final results. Let's start with red. And immediately you can see the striking deep red of the EX color, and they really weren't kidding about the consistency, with barely any streaks visible and a very even surface. Comparatively, the standard metallic red has very clear streaks and blotches, and this has been a common problem with Gundam marker paints all along. It's not a problem you can fix because you really can't add any more coats of paint on top, so even though the sheen is just as good and the surface is quite even, the color underneath all of it isn't even at all. But as you can see here, the red is also a little bit of a salmon color compared to the EX, so potentially that might be a reason why you might want this color over the EX for some detailing. On the very right is the pearl color, and we can certainly see the glitter on it, but the surface is really blotchy and it's really uneven, and it even looks like a failed paint job. It's a pearl color, so the red of course looks a little bit more like a pink color, so maybe the combo here is useful for someone who wants to make a shard Zaku, as long as you don't mind the surface that looks like a sandy beach. Now let's move on to blue. It's a very similar story with the EX color, and it has a very nice consistent finish with only a little bit of blotching visible, but it's not a whole lot. The consistency makes the metallic sheen very beautiful. The standard blue color has the same blotching problem, and this time the blue's hue isn't quite as different as the reds. The standard color is a little bit less saturated, and it leans a little bit more towards silver, so maybe you can use it for a two-tone metallic blue coloring. The pearl coloring is still off in a texture and hue all of its own, and it's also just as bumpy, but the more pastel hue of the blue is probably useful for painting details on figures and clothing. Now the green is where things get a little bit strange. The EX color was blotchy and inconsistent and less saturated than the standard metallic green, and I double checked to see if I mixed them up, and sure enough I did not. The standard metallic green is a clear winner here with a beautiful emerald color with less blotches and a beautiful sheen. The pearl green, I'm not so sure whatever to do with this. It's like a weird cabbage green color with metal flakes. I mean, maybe it's good for Zaku. Nothing else comes to mind, and it's a very strange hue. And next this is silver, and you'll have to forgive the EX side here with some empty spots. The marker I have got clogged up, and I wasn't able to find a new one in stores, so I did the best I could with the paint I had. So ignore the empty bits because a brand new one will come out very smooth and the paint is generally quite consistent. But as you can see here, the EX Shine Silver is in a league of its own, with a beautiful metallic surface that almost looks like real aluminum. The standard silver really never looked good, and it was always a dreary dull gray, so it's really hard to recommend it to anyone. The pearl color is still bumpy and blotchy, and it won't do the job if actual silver or metallic is really what you want. The EX Silver gives you something no other Gundam marker can, and you'll definitely want one. And next up is white. This one isn't much of a fair fight because the Gundam marker white colors have traditionally been the weakest, and the EX line gives us a glossy, thick coat of white paint that's clearly visible, where the standard color is a dull, blotchy mess that wouldn't be useful in any build. To give you a better idea, let's bring in this spoon, and you can see just how much the EX white covers even on clear plastic. I mean, it's quite blotchy, but white paints are tough to handle no matter if it's enamel or lacquer. Because if you look at the standard white line, it basically gives you a thin layer that manages to cover only in places where the paint bunches up. Even as a child, when I first used Gundam markers, I dreaded using white, and it still holds true to this day. So the EX New White finally gives us a white Gundam marker that's actually somewhat practical, even though it's not perfect. And finally, with gunmetal, we have a very odd pair. The EX color has a semi-gloss coat unlike any of the other EX colors, and has a slightly magenta or purplish hue, which is very different from the glossy, pure black of the standard gunmetal. They're both consistent with very little streaking, and they're both very high quality and something you're going to find lots of uses for. But it's very difficult to get your hands on a standard gunmetal color, so maybe it's just easier to get the EX marker, but with either one you have a winner. So come on GSI Creos, just give us all the colors loose. But overall, the Gundam Marker EX line is indeed a big improvement from the standard releases, and I think we'll be seeing more colors down the line, like gold and other non-metallic colors. But for now, let's give these markers the Hobby Clubhouse 3-point verdict. Number 1. They do deliver on their promises. GSI Creos claims that the EX markers cover surfaces stronger and more consistently, which they absolutely do. There's also the claim that the colors are more beautiful, which the colors themselves are indeed beautiful, but in some cases there's such a different hue from the standard releases that they might as well just be a color of their own. Number 2. It's practical for both beginners and advanced builders. The quality of the finish on these EX markers are an excellent choice for detailing your Gundam models, especially the rifle cameras and head cameras, where the surface is small and you'll never encounter the problem of the minor blotching. In fact, the metallic sheen is good enough that many advanced builders will agree that they're excellent tools to have around for details like hydraulics or inner frame details. Number 3, they still clog up. My silver marker clogged up from just very light usage, and this has been an issue for Gundam markers all along, and sadly, the EX line does not seem to have a remedy for that yet. So if you use these, you will run the risk of them spontaneously dying on you, and there really is no recourse once that happens, so that is still an uncomfortable reality if you choose to go down the path of the Gundam marker. Hopefully, this review has helped inform you on whether or not you'd like to add these new markers to your model making toolset. Personally, I think they're an excellent purchase, and I'll be relying on them for camera details a whole lot in the coming future. Thank you so much for watching. Come hang out with us on social media, links are also in the descriptions below. Or stay and hang out some more with one of these other videos. But before you go, share your own experiences with Gundam markers in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be notified of new videos from Hobby Clubhouse. And I'll see you next time.